The first time I saw her, the weapon was already leveled at my chest. I'd been combing through the ruins of what used to be an Authari listening post, far out on the ragged edge of known space. The war was over, or at least, that's what the council kept broadcasting, but anyone who's lived through a real war knows it never truly ends. There are always shadows, outposts no one's claimed, weapons left to rot, and survivors who didn't get the memo that peace had arrived. I was a salvager now, though some still called me Captain Hale, out of habit. My ship, Vigil's End, was little more than a patched-up freighter with military bones, and I survived by picking through the dead bones of battlefields. Out here, the Authari were a rumor more than a threat. Everyone said they'd been pushed back to the dark edges of their empire. Everyone said they were broken. But everyone was wrong. She stepped out from the collapsed doorway like a phantom, tall and lean, with the angular features of her species sharp in the half-light. Her skin shimmered faintly, a metallic bronze tone threaded with lines that pulsed like faint circuitry. She wore armor that had seen better days, scarred but functional. Her rifle, alien in design, a lattice of crystal and steel, was aimed steady and unwavering at my heart. And her eyes, gods, her eyes. They weren't the black obsidian voids I'd seen in the Authari soldiers I'd fought years ago. They were green, vivid, alive, shot through with flecks of gold. Not the eyes of an enemy. Not the eyes of someone I expected out here in the wreckage. "Move," she said in galactic standard, voice low, sharp. Not a request, an order. I froze, slowly raising my hands. Easy. Just scavenging. No fight left in me. She didn't lower the rifle. Instead, her gaze locked on mine, narrowing as if she were searching for something in my face. Then, almost whispering, the words slipped out. "Why, do your eyes look familiar?" Middle. Her name was Caliph. Against my better judgment, and because she didn't pull the trigger, our standoff turned into a tense conversation. She was Authari, yes, but not a soldier anymore. She called herself a remnant, a survivor of the war, cut off from her people when the council burned their fleets and glassed their strongholds. She had been living among ruins, scavenging what little was left, haunted by memories that refused to fade. The way she spoke, I almost pitied her. Almost. Because the Authari weren't just another empire. They had nearly ended humanity. Their war doctrine was simple. Erase, consume, replace. We weren't supposed to survive. And yet here we were. What gnawed at me was her question. The way she'd stared at me, unsettled, whispering about my eyes. Humans and Authari weren't alike. We were different down to the bone. But the longer she looked at me, the more her hostility seemed to fray at the edges. She let me live that day, on the condition I leave the listening post empty-handed. I agreed, but I came back, not because I was reckless, but because something about her expression had stuck in my mind, like she was remembering someone she'd lost. Over the next weeks, we crossed paths again. At first, each meeting was tense. Her weapon was never far, her distrust plain. But war strips you bare, and I think she saw something in me that mirrored her own scars. We were both survivors of a conflict that had left us without homes, without purpose. One night, under the fractured sky of a planet the Council had abandoned, she told me her truth. The Authari weren't born conquerors. They had been driven to war. A disease had ravaged their stars, devouring entire ecosystems, and the Council had refused them aid. In desperation, they turned outward, taking what they could, believing survival justified the cost. But there was more. She told me of the Authari bond mark, the way they carried memory through generations. Not written, not spoken, but remembered in their very being. Some Authari were able to see fragments of ancestral memory in others, echoes of faces long past. That was why my eyes unsettled her. "They are the same as his," she said, voice trembling. "The one who saved me when I was a child. A soldier, human in the first raids. He should have killed me. He didn't. His eyes, they were yours." I didn't know what to say. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe not. The war had been chaos, and soldiers made choices no one understood, not even themselves. But something in her tone made my chest tighten. From that moment, we weren't enemies anymore. We were something else, bound by a thread neither of us fully understood. The turn. Our fragile bond was tested sooner than I expected. The council didn't like loose ends. When word spread of an Authari remnant haunting abandoned systems, they sent hunters, not soldiers, but cleansers. Silent ships. Assassins with the authority to erase anything deemed a threat to the fragile peace. They came for her. I could have walked away. Could have told myself she was Authari, the same species that had slaughtered human colonies by the thousands. But when I saw her pinned down by fire in the skeletal remains of an orbital dock, something inside me snapped. I fought for her. The battle was brutal. My ship's guns tore through the hunters' drones, but they had numbers and precision on their side. Calith fought like fire itself, her rifle singing with crystalline bursts that shattered steel and bone. For a moment, it felt like the war again, chaos, fury, death all around. When the dust settled, the assassins lay broken. But so did the last shreds of safety we had. The council would send more. They always did. Bleeding, half-broken, Calith looked at me with those green eyes and whispered, "Why?" And I answered the only way I could. "Because once, someone with my eyes saved you. Maybe it's my turn to finish what he started." Ending. We ran after that. System to system, wreck to wreck, never staying long enough for the council to catch us. At first, it was survival. But survival has a way of turning into something more when two people share every battle, every narrow escape, every moment in the dark between stars. Calith taught me the ways of the Authari bond mark. Not to carve symbols like some ritual, but to remember, not just with the mind, but with the soul. She traced a pattern on my wrist one night, her touch light as air. The mark glowed faintly before sinking into my skin. "Now," she said softly, "you will carry me, and I will carry you." And when she pressed her brow to mine, I felt it, not words, not images, but memory itself. I saw fragments of her past, of the child she'd been, of the soldier she'd become, of the night she had nearly died until a human soldier with familiar eyes had spared her. I don't know if that man was truly me in another life, or just fate weaving patterns we can't understand. But I know this. Humanity's strength has never been its fleets or its weapons. It has always been the choice to reach out, even to those we should call enemies. The Council still hunts us. They'll never forgive an alliance like ours. But Calith and I have carved something they can't erase. Together, we're building a bond stronger than war, stronger than fear. And sometimes, when I look into her green eyes, I see the reflection of my own. She was right. My eyes were familiar to her. And now, hers are the only ones I want to remember.